This just in. Iranian state media reporting that Iran's president and the Saudi crown prince have spoken on Israel's war against Hamas. An Iranian official tweeting, quote, "The two agreed on the need to end war crimes against Palestine. Both believe the regime's crimes and the U.S. green light will cause destructive insecurity for the regime and backers," end of quote. Meanwhile, yesterday, Iran leader Ayatollah Khamenei took to X to tweet, quote, "Heads of the Zionist regime and their backers should know that the massacre and mass murder of the people of Gaza will cause a larger calamity to come upon them," end of quote. And the State of Israel's official Twitter account responded to this tweet saying, quote, "It's easy to be brave when you are hiding behind a keyboard. You and your Hamas friends will regret your barbaric actions very soon," end of quote. Also yesterday, the European Commissioner for the Internal Market, Thierry Breton, wrote a letter to ex-corporation owner Elon Musk. The letter reads in part, quote, "Following the terrorist attack carried out by Hamas against Israel, we have indications that your platform is being used to disseminate illegal content and disinformation in the European Union. I urge you to ensure a prompt, accurate, and complete response to this request within the next 24 hours. I remind you that following the opening of a potential investigation and a finding of non-compliance, penalties can be imposed," end of quote. And yesterday, President of Eurasia Group, Ian Bremmer, took to X, formerly known as Twitter, to tweet out this picture of the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, Germany on Saturday. As you can see, the very famous gate is lit up with the Israeli flag in the bottom part of this picture. And Bremmer also tweeted a picture of what the Brandenburg Gate looked like in 1936. As you can see, back in 1936, that same gate was draped with Nazi Party flags. Bremmer went on to say in his tweet, quote, "What a difference 100 years can make," end of quote. Ian Bremmer joins me. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you, Greta.
And, you know, I mean, what is going on is, you know, I mean, your picture, that tweeted picture that we've seen is just, I mean, it's just stunning, isn't it, what's going on?
It is, I mean, clearly the level of outrage and the level of solidarity with Israel in the West, given the worst atrocity that Jews have faced anywhere in the world since the Holocaust, is quite unprecedented. It's quite staggering. The United States is divided on almost everything right now. And you have, you know, a level of mutual support among Democrats and Republicans for Israel that feels pretty unprecedented. And that's despite the fact that Netanyahu is someone that the Biden administration hasn't even wanted to meet with for much of Biden's term. Everyone's coming together now, just as you see a new unity government in Israel itself coming together despite nearing a constitutional crisis over the past few months. This sort of atrocity on the Israeli people really has driven that.
You know, it's interesting, you know, when you look back at like the picture they posted 100 years ago, when you think back is that Auschwitz was, I think it was opened in 1940, but it took 2 years until 1942 that the West really got sort of a grip on the what was going on, the extermination of the Jews. Yet with the social media today is that we're right there. We see pictures, people are able to post it in real time, and you know what a difference that makes in sort of bringing us to the war, so that we can, you know, so that we're more aware to the extent that our awareness is an important aspect of this.
The other difference, of course, is that even after the Nazis were defeated, the West wasn't prepared to host the Jews, despite 6 million killed in the Holocaust in Europe or in the United States. And that's how, of course, they ended up where they are today in Israel. And that's been a fight from day one. And they've been surrounded by enemies, and they're in a much stronger national security position than they were before. But certainly there's a lot of soul searching in Germany, across Europe, in the United States. I mean, pretty much every major advanced democracy in the world is feeling like you kind of left your eye off the ball with something like this going on.
But then you see my alma mater, where young people, where I went at the University of Wisconsin, or you see the Harvard letter or Columbia University, or you see the protesters outside the Sydney Opera House saying, you know, gas the Jews. I mean, it's just like, it's just breathtaking.
You know, it's breathtaking, but let's not pretend it's anything other than a tiny slice of very progressive elites in urban centers. This is not mainstream Democrat views at all. And I called it out when I saw it. My friend and colleague Larry Summers called it out when he saw it. I mean, this is across the board. If you are blaming Israel exclusively for the atrocities that Hamas carried out, the terrorism that Hamas carried out, you're insane. And that cannot stand. And it took Harvard a while, but they have clearly effectively responded with a statement from their president. And there was a lot of pressure that was required to make that happen, but I'm glad it did.
Indeed, I am too. Ian Bremmer, thank you, sir.
My pleasure, Greta.